I would like to welcome James Black, who would like to talk about his work RAUS, which consists of 4 pieces for 14 players and a soloist. James was the soloist himself when the piece was premiered by Athelas Sinfonietta Copenhagen, conducted by Pierre Andre Valade at KLANG Festival in 2017. James, please tell us about your ideas behind the piece.
The idea of the piece was basically to write a concerto for myself and my own limited capabilities. And that wasn't the original idea of the piece. It started as just a normal Sinfonietta piece with some music for 14 musicians. And then I started doing some improvising on Casio keyboard. Actually, I'll show you this Casio keyboard here. And I just started, in frustration, kind of bashing it. And then from there, I kind of liked the rhythm that developed. And then I realized that I didn't really want to write that rhythm down. And then I realized that I should probably play it myself. And then I realized that I wanted to do all of the solo parts myself. So there's a lot of singing, there's some physical movement with this kind of YMCA, village people kind of stuff. And of course, some keyboard stuff. And then from that, taking kind of myself as a starting point, it became a lot about childhood memories and memories of some more recent experiences in my life that I just not really like reflecting upon, but more kind of just like acting out on stage.
So at some point I read that it was also, the idea also came from video games and...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, video game music is a big kind of inspiration for me because there's a video game called Lemmings, and it's from maybe 1990, and I like one of my earliest memories of playing it with my grandfather, and a lot of the soundtrack for that is kind of this 8-bit synth stuff, and a lot of it is actually 8-bit synth covers of classical music. So, but then kind of like with some funky beats on top, and then kind of rearranged into like a verse chorus thing with some like tweaks. So a lot of the sounds of electronic music is also my first like encounter with classical music as well. So I remember like hearing some classical pieces for the first time and being like, oh fuck, that's the music from Lemmings. So I kind of approached a lot of classical music from this kind of like backwards, like the trashy way first, and then like the real way afterwards. So that's always been kind of like my way in. And then the sound of video game music is very close to the sounds that are coming out of this Casio keyboard. So there was a natural link there.
So in the third movement, you kind of do all these gestures and you say these syllables that don't have any meaning. Tell me about that choice.
I don't really know what the choice was, to be honest. Again, like, it's like the syllables don't have any meaning in and of themselves, but a lot of them are lifted from video games as well. So there was, I was very inspired by the game called The Sims, because they've just kind of got their own language in that game that was part of the making of the game. So I was very interested in using that, like using number systems and whatever to kind of make a language and then performing that language on stage. I was also influenced by my experiences as like an immigrant in Denmark and like hearing Danish for a long time. And I didn't even notice this until like last year, one Danish composer said that when he heard the piece, he thought about it as if like hearing Danish through like a foreigner's ears, because there's a lot of like the rhythms of Danish in there and like the sounds of Danish, like yeah, yeah, yo, yo, of like Danish constructions that I, have now taken into my everyday speech. I'm saying yeah, yeah all the time when I'm speaking to my family in England, and they don't understand why I'm saying it. So it's a lot about constructing a language and then like just picking things from my memory and from my world around me, and then using number systems to structure it and perform it and communicate it effectively. And then I don't know where the gestures came from. It's very like they'll do this and like this. And it's very kind of it's a teaching moment. I'm kind of teaching the language to people and then kind of using gesture to help communicate that.
Yes. Thank you so much for telling us about RAUS. You can listen to RAUS at the SoundCloud from the world premiere of RAUS. Thank you, James.
Yeah. Thank you.